I'm gonna mute myself as well because I have a really high noise in my background.
Okay, cool. Okay, so Louise, where are you? What have your wins been the last couple of weeks?
My wins the last couple of weeks. I think, like I was just saying to you pre-recording, is jigsaw pieces coming together. I've had knowledge over here, knowledge over here, knowledge over here. Thought I was doing the right things here, thought I was doing the right things there. And I feel the last couple of weeks is where the jigsaw really is fitting together. And that's in terms of the focus challenge that Simac set in January really did help that, because I felt like I had a place to kind of work through strategy. I've always got strategy on my list of things to do, but I just felt that I was strategizing for the sake of strategizing, and there wasn't really any actions. There was actions, but they weren't necessarily meaningful actions that where it needed for me to go. So that focus plan really did help pull that together and realize what was important and not important. And I've now gone KPI crazy.
Oh dear.
So I'm now, anything moves, it doesn't even have to move to get measured at the minute. So everything's being measured.
Yeah.
But what I've realized, again, there is a process to it. And for a long time, I've been working too far ahead and not enough presence, and sometimes vice versa. Anyway, so a bit of a waffle and a whiffle. But what my wins are is understanding how the pieces have come together and what the next best steps are, and that it doesn't matter if it goes a bit pear-shaped. If you're giving something a go, then good on you. And in terms of actual progress, has been really the conciseness of the leads, the ideal people. I've really narrowed down who I want to connect with, and I'm now making headway with connecting with those people in order to bring the vision to reality.
Good. Okay. So what I'm taking from that is your strategy has been brought into a focus plan to move you forward.
Yeah.
And you're now you're KPIing everything. So one of the great things about KPIs is they allow you to manage things. That's that what gets measured gets managed is a great way of thinking. My caveat to that is don't over KPI for the sake of KPIing. So
absolutely,
it's important.
Yeah,
because otherwise you spend a lot of time collecting data that's not really telling you anything. So
great advice.
Yeah. So my thought, particularly if I understand where you are in your business journey at the moment, it's lead generation and conversion.
Absolutely.
So my question would be, what are in terms of your focus plan?
Yeah.
What are the key actions to deliver that? And how do they convert, and how do you measure those?
Good question. This is what I've kind of pieced together and what I'm working on for February and March. And I've created a list of 40 leads that I'm contacting a minimum of 2 a day. And depending on my relationship with the people, tell me if I'm off, because I go into detail, Tom. So if I need to
keep
cutting, then just let me know. But basically, I'm breaking them down, whether it's email, text, or a call, depending on the relationship and with how, when we last spoke, etc. My aim is to convert 80% of them to my new email list, and then track and measure that. So the number of people that I am contacting, and then measuring who actually has then come onto the conversion list. What I'm also asking when I'm contacting these people, obviously depending on the nature of the call or the communication, but I'm then asking them for someone who they think that would benefit from us connecting. So then that will hopefully generate me another 40 leads for then the next process, and I'm going to just kind of do a repeat. It's a trial and error for me, but it's an area that I feel comfortable. I'm much better at doing that than hanging out on social media, but I have got some strategies in place for that, but it's not my priority at the minute. And then I can't remember, I've got other stuff on there, but it's then these are my other goals that I've got, is to rewrite some website pages that are more in line now with my ideal guest, and to actually create the mailing list. So I've got two distinct ideal clients now, or guests, and it gets a little bit confusing because there is a difference between the clients and the guests, but it's a lot more succinct than it ever was. So I'm creating two new email platforms that are in line with the leads that I'm contacting, so they'll go on there. I'm procrastinating a little bit, I'll be totally honest with you, Tom, between I'm making a big deal out about what platforms I go on. So whether it's MailChimp or MailerLite. So that's just another story. And then I'm creating two new landing pages to see where I get, and I'm going to do some testing on that. So I've been working on creating some messaging around explaining to people what I do. And whilst I'd love to get bookings for things that I'm planning to do, I appreciate that I'm in very much brand awareness, getting people to know what I do. So I think my main thing is leads, conversion to email list, and I can start building that relationship.
Right. Okay. Once you've got what sort of, so your initial 40,
Yep.
you've got their details, you know who they are. You've got
Absolutely.
names. Right. Okay.
Yep.
So we'd class those as a prospect.
Yep.
In our terminology. So you're then looking to put them through a series of stages, and you're quite clear as to what that is, and you need to track your numbers through those stages to see what's happening. And then by tracking your numbers, you'll start to ask yourself the question, okay, is this working well? Is it not working? What do I need to change? What do I need to do?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's back into the principle of what gets measured gets managed.
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you have any, so your 40 prospects might, again, bring 40 other prospects.
Yeah.
Do you have anybody in mind who would be a good partner in terms of prospect sharing?
I have got a couple of people in mind. Well, I've got two at the minute that I'm in talks with. So one is in the hospitality business, and which is marketing and hospitality. Funny enough, the other one is as well, but they're slightly different guises. And yes, so they're the two people that I'm coordinating with, and I have got, they don't know yet, but there are a couple of others that are earmarked for my for me to talk with them.
Good. Okay. So the more you can share somebody else's prospect list.
Absolutely. Do you know what? I go for a little bit. I want to, because I've worked a long time in the wellbeing industry, but I've kind of changed where I'm going with it. So it's still wellbeing. It's now mixed with hospitality. And what I want to do is, as well as collaborate with people that have got their own prospects and their own audience and people, I want to bring stuff to the table too.
Yep.
So I think I'm trying to generate a little bit more. What's the word I'm looking for? I suppose I don't like calling it an audience. So if you've got another word for me, Tom, but your target market, your audience, or whoever it is, I want to have a little. Yeah, I want to have a little bit more behind me, so I've got something to offer as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I think, at the end of the day, you've got your brand, then you've got your website, then you've got your marketing material. 8 o'clock Tuesday morning, it falls to me to do the Munch and Learn slot.
Yes.
I'm bringing one of my clients in.
Stuart.
Yeah.
I'm booked on it.
He's a graphic designer, and he's just going to talk about brands. So, I mean, I'm trying not to get him to sell, but what Stuart does is where somebody's looking for a brand and their initial marketing collateral, he's a £700 package with a tick list of
Yep.
choose, 4 from 10 or 5 from 10. I can't remember
Yep.
the details. That's what he does, and then he builds that sort of
Excellent.
stuff together. But we're
No,
going to have a high level chat around, okay,
brilliant.
how do you go about trying to build your brand? How do you go
Yep.
about designing it? What collateral do you need? That's what we're going to do.
Super. No, I've already earmarked that, Tom, so thank you for the reminder.
Cool. And he's a lovely guy. He's just
Good.
one of the nicest guys on the
Excellent.
planet. Yeah, it's great fun. Here's something else. I'm just going to go back to that procrastination point. Here's something that I use when you
Yeah,
got a
if anyone wants an expert in procrastination, Tom, then point them my way. I can help people with that. But that is my number one skill. And I didn't realize. I just thought I was busy, and I was busy procrastinating.
Yeah. So when you recognize it, this is, decision making is a process. Unlocking the thing is a process.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you think about decision making purely as a process, here's a way of thinking about it. What's the problem?
Yeah.
When have we got to make this decision by? That's really important.
Mm-hmm.
And then how important is it? Okay. And what's our indecisiveness level?
This is my language.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent.
Right, what's the best case scenario? Is that a pipe dream? Right, if it's a pipe dream, then we don't want it. We've got to rewrite it. What's the worst case scenario? Well, we're thinking apocalyptically, because apocalypse rarely ever happens. So let's just be real. Those are just sort of, check-ins with ourselves. Okay, so what can we do? Option A, what's good about it, what's bad about it. Option B, what's good about it, bad about it. Option C, if there is what's good, what's bad. What's the logical conclusion then? How do I feel about this?
Love it.
Okay, right, what's the decision? Are we doing it today? What's the action? Now, as a process, that's a really good, simple process to get you moving. I'll drop that in the chat box.
Thank you very, very much.
Okay, cool. Stop the share. Let's get rid of that.
I tell you where I'll give you an example, the live example. And I've got a lot better at it because I'm aware now of what I'm doing when I'm doing it, which is half the battle. But it's say for instance like the MailChimp versus the MailerLite. I'm now at a stage where next week I am going to make a decision one way or the other, and I'm pleased that, and I'm not gonna worry about it. Before it was like I was going on the worst case scenario. What if it and then I've got to transport data from one platform to another, and it was just fear of not knowing the difference between the platforms, and I was putting barriers and obstacles in the way. And now I've come across somebody that might even be able to help me with that. So I'm just going to go with one company that I make the decision on next week, and I'm going to use that form, thank you very much, to just finalize that thing. I'm going to go with one, and just say it doesn't work, then I will swap, and it won't be a big deal. So it's sometimes looking at what the obstacle is, and then kind of even working backwards to say, well, is that really a big deal in the scheme of things? No, it would be more helpful if you had like 20 people that were on the wait list to actually go on your email list, rather than worrying about what the bloody platform is.
Movement is always more helpful than stagnation.
Absolutely.
Even if even if it's not the perfect thing, you're moving. You might be 80% of what you wanted.
I know.
The other one might only have been 80% as well.
I know it is. It's just one of that. What it is, I like to I do research, and then you end up getting 50% people saying, oh, MailerLite, 50% saying blah blah, and they've all got their own reasons why. And then it's just really comes down to what works for you, isn't it?
We have this wonderful debate going on in Action Coach amongst the coaches as to what's better, Zoho or HubSpot.
Brilliant.
Well, whichever one you're using, if it works for you, it works.
Love it. Yeah. So I think we all, and as I said, and I feel that because I'm tech phobic, that I am the worst person out there, and everyone else can make decisions because they know what they're doing. So you put that pressure on yourself as well, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So coming back into KPIs,
Mm-hmm.
you said you've got a list of things that you now want to measure.
Yeah.
Can I ask you to go back to that list
Yeah.
and then think about it in terms of, okay, what have I identified that I want to measure, that I need to measure over the next 3 months, that I need to measure by the end of the year, or I need to measure when the business has kicked in,
Yeah.
and then just bring it back into realistic KPIs that are going to make a difference for you right now.
Yeah.
Because that means you're not going to be measuring stuff that right now you don't need and isn't going to be helpful.
No, I noticed that because I started to look at with one particular part of, because there's two sides to the business. There's the 12 acres, which is the UK based safari tents, and then there's the house in Greece, and they're both now earmarked as retreat spaces that are available for holidays, exclusive hire too. But the predominant thing is retreats, so I can really focus in on that. But there's still some operational stuff to do. So on 12 acres, so the aim there is leads, prospects to leads to email conversions to then warm leads to people then taking the leap and booking. Whereas the house is ready to go. And so that's got a different, that can have bookings broken down, it can have revenue broken down, it can even go down then to profit. So they've both got two different KPIs, whereas before I was trying to make them all fit. I was trying to make each part have it, and also I was trying to work on both of them at the same time, and they've both got different needs. So I think it was Simac again last week, is what's the fastest way to get you the revenue? And the fastest way is the one, the property that's ready to go. Well, I'm trying to do something on something that's not even ready. So that's really helped. So the KPI that's important to me at the moment is listing who I'm contacting and then what I get from it. So did they go to the email list? Is there a collaboration partnership, or is there something else? So that's what I'm measuring at the minute.
Yeah. Okay. If you here's a question for you to think. When you're in this overload of detail, and it's pulling off what Simac's building on there, which is, okay, what can we achieve most of fastest? What's going to work for us best fastest? And if you're asking that question, and then you're saying to yourself or asking yourself, how do I keep this simple? Because if you can keep it simple, then your action to move what you need to move to get the fastest, bestest result will be in process. But if you complicate it, you'll then go back into the position of, oh my God, there's too much to do with this.
Absolutely.
So how do I keep it simple?
Love that. Yep.
So what's the best thing to do? How do I keep it simple? Move. That's really funny because you've frozen as I said move. Oh dear.
Very on time.
That's hilarious. Timing's everything, isn't it?
It is indeed. Let me check if she's still.
My power just dropped out, and then I was on the laptop, so I couldn't connect. Whereas at least I can go mobile with the. See, I said to you I prefer the iPad, didn't I?
I've done a coaching session with a one-to-one client today who had a planned power cut, so we finished up doing FaceTime with her sat in her car.
Excellent. So sorry about that, Tom. You got to a really exciting bit. So keeping it simple.
So my suggestion was take Simax focus
Yeah.
focus plan for the day,
Yeah.
and then really just keep it simple. When you decide what that is, keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate all the stages.
Yeah.
You know, so my thinking on that would be, okay, determine the focus, you know, keep the action simple, then move, then make it happen. And as I said, move, you actually froze and disappeared. So,
I was pacing myself, Tom.
yeah, exactly. Pacing yourself. It's good. I like that. But so you know, but that principle of movement,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
focus, what's the focus? Keep it simple, decide the actions, and then move. Make sure it
Absolutely.
happens. And that will push you forward.
Brilliant.
Cool. Okay, so what's the focus for the next week?
The next week is more of the same thing, is the leads, building on those conversations. Because what I've noticed with the ones that I've started to connect with is that just because this has been brewing in my brain for about 2 years, it's new to them.
Yeah.
So what I've got to be careful of is that I'm not too overzealous in my communication because of where I'm at. So it's and also just checking in that I've always liked building the relationships, and I've worked sometimes too much the other way, where I've wanted to help others rather than help myself, and I realized that wasn't necessarily a healthy balance. And that I've got my own business needs to consider. But I like collaborations. I like working in partnerships. So that's not even a barrier or an obstacle for me. But I need to keep focused on the conversations, what's in it for both of us, not just me being overzealous in trying to communicate, and that keep the end goal in mind, that it is for, it is building up leads for potential bookings, but it's also building up long-term relationships, because whilst they might not want something now, it might be next year or the year after. So it's that kind of thing. So my goals, I'm very clear on February and March's goals, and I've also started to make notes now for Q2, so that I can start to build into that. And that's helped because having done the business strategy, I've been able to take off the back of that, and it makes more sense. Whereas I got really kind of worked out. All my goals were it's my goal for most probably about a year now, implement a marketing plan.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I kept saying to myself, implement. And it was like, I just wasn't clear on all the different steps. So yeah, that's where I'm at. It's going to be contacting. I keep calling them leads, but you mentioned prospects. Is
So
a prospect?
we think a suspect is somebody who we don't know who they are, who might be interested. A prospect, we've now got their contact details, and we believe they might be interested.
Right.
A lead for me is probably at the point where they are engaging in us having a conversation.
Brilliant. I like that.
So that we can then look to see how we convert them to be a sale.
Brilliant. So I feel like I'm in a Poirot movie. I've got suspects and I've got prospects, and then I need to get my suspects and my prospects onto my leads.
Yeah. So
Brilliant.
question rattling around in my brain for you is, if you're emailing these people, are you emailing them with a view to going and having a follow-up conversation with them immediately, or are you going to email them 2 or 3 times before you propose a conversation? What does your process look like to get them?
It depends on the relationship that I've got. So these 40 people are people that I know of.
Okay.
So, and I have a different relationship with each of them for different reasons. And some are in the wellbeing industry, some are in the personal and business development space, some of them are in communities, some of them are writers, and some of them are in the marketing space. So I've broken them all down. And then I've used where I am in the relationship with them. So some of them, it might be, oh, how you doing from like last week or last month, like where we've caught up, and this is what my focus is for this month or this year or whatever. And some of them know, so I say, you know what, I've been working on, I'm ready to kind of share with you where I'm at, and let's see where it works for both of us. So can we support each other? So I've got that's that side of it. In terms of emails, if I'm emailing someone, I'm just looking, there's somebody on my list, I think, that I'm emailing that we've not been in contact with, like we haven't got a brilliant, like we've touched base, so we've met at a networking meeting. I'm going to drop them an email asking them would they like to spend some time talking a little bit more detail about each other's work to see if there's a potential connection, and that's kind of my process at the moment.
Yeah, cool. Okay, that's good. So as long as you're clear as to what you're asking
Yeah.
at each stage and what
Yeah.
your process is, you know, and sometimes it just helps to flow chart that out so you're clear on it.
Yeah, and also, like, I don't feel I always need like a script, but I did make a couple of notes because, as I said, I need to be mindful that I'm not overzealous. And I don't mean it I don't mean to do it, because I said I'm always interested in other people and what they do. So it's not, but just where I am with the business quite now, because I'm excited about the jigsaw pieces coming together. I just want to be mindful. So I have made a few notes for me to link into making sure that it's about their business as well as mine.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Good. Is that helpful for today?
Super helpful. The real, I mean, all of it's been brilliant, but in terms of the decision making, I love that. And keep it simple. It sounds silly, but it's simple. But sometimes I do the opposite. If it can be made complicated, then again, procrastination and complication are my two skills.
Okay. I mentioned to Karen when you were offline, if you or she can get me your postal address, I'll get my PA to mail you 3 or 4 pads next week in the mail, and then they're physically on your desk. You can see them, and it's a reminder to make the decision. That's
really, really kind. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the support.
Pleasure. No problem.
Enjoy the meal tonight.
Thank you very much. See you in a few weeks.
Thanks, Tom.
All right. Cheers.
Thanks, Karen.
Bye now.
Bye, guys. Thank you.